Welcome to Book Talks, the show that speaks to education, health, entrepreneurship, and so much more.
Welcome Zanzi to yet another amplifying episode of Book Talks. I am your host, Batale Matlati, and today in studio we have an author and a transformational youth leader, Kutlwano Moloi. Welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for the viewers for tuning in.
How do you feel today?
To be honest, I feel grateful for the opportunity to be out here, communicating with your audience is really a fantastic opportunity, and hopefully this episode will inspire young people and it'll drive change and it'll transform Africa.
Oh, and that's the purpose of our channel. Yeah. We aim to do that. But before we get into it, I'd like you to introduce yourself and the kind of work that you do.
Okay, so by the time we're recording this is 2024. All right, I think 7th of October, and we're here in Pretoria, the beautiful, beautiful city of Pretoria, and we're in the Government of Communications and Information. And and what I do is that I'm a transformational youth leader. I'm also a published author, and I'm CEO of a company called Moloi Business Leadership Firm, and our focus is really on transforming Africa. We have a program called the Youth Empowerment Tour, which focuses on going to the young schools, empowering young children, giving them the relevant information about business and personal development so they can be able to self-actualize themselves. We know that South Africa is a country that's leading in unemployment, so our program really works to equip young people with the skills they need to be able to go into the labor market, but not just that, but also establish businesses of their own. So I'm just an activist. I'm really, really passionate about change, particularly in the African continent, and preserving our culture and heritage.
Okay. You're such a young person, and I would like to know what inspired you to become a youth transformational leader, because usually you see people who are like in their 30s, in their 40s trying to help the youth. When are you helping your age mates? Like, what prompted that?
Basically, like, from the environment I come from a very, like, impoverished background. Grew up in the townships of Soweto. So when you're growing up in the townships, you see some of the disadvantages that you experience, and those disadvantages then, caused me to say that, what, unlike just sitting and waiting for, change from the government, why don't we as young people rise up and become the change that we're looking for? As Mahatma Gandhi once said, be the change you want to see in the world. So we took that choice upon ourselves to say, what, we'll transform Africa, we'll implement these programs within our townships, because if not us, then who?
Then who? Then you are an author, right?
Yeah.
And you're a golden... Not mistaken, gold status author. What inspired you to write the book that you wrote?
Yeah.
And how did that journey? Did you start ka go ngwala buka, or did you start as a youth leader? Which came first? And
great question, Mutali. So it began. We started as a writer. I started as a writer. This was when I was still 16 years old. Yeah. I started writing when I was 16 years old. Yeah. It was like poems, little short stories. And at the time, I write it because, I was battling depression. I was battling a lot of mental health issues. So writing for me sort of became like an escape from all these things I was battling mentally, And it was also became a platform or a medium for me to also inspire other young people in my writing, because they could also find pieces of themselves in the work I wrote. I quickly got noticed, and I built an audience online when I was like 16. I think by the time I was 17, I was probably like one of the youngest, most influential poet in the country. Yeah, I think we reached like 100,000 reads by then online, and I just kept going. And about a purpose is like an onion, it has layers. Yeah. So writing was the first layer for me, and then I peeled off the writing layer, and then I started going to creative arts, which is film and directing, and then that led me to what I'm doing right now, which is being a public speaker and an entrepreneur. So it's like everything has just been peeling off the different layers of my purpose,
Then how do these things correspond with each other? How do you manage and juggle all of that?
Yeah.
For a young person to be doing all these things is wild.
It's wild. For me, it all comes back to one thing, because in all these things, I'm just communicating. It's all communication, right? When I'm writing, I'm communicating. When I'm speaking, I'm communicating. When I'm telling stories through art, I'm communicating, you know? So then I realized that, okay, for me, it's just utilizing my voice for change, you know, utilizing my voice to make a difference. And how do I manage, you know? It's priorities, right? It's about having a plan and a vision for your life. And I think once you have that in place, you are then able to organize your life around that purpose and vision. So for me, I have things like to-do lists that help me be able to manage my responsibilities. I know this is what I need to do for the day. This is the companies that I need to work on. And that's how I manage. But for me, it's just communicating, using your gifts to just drive your purpose and what you are here to do.
Then, because you've clearly highlighted that everything you put it in a box of it being communication, what motivated you to become a communicator rather? Because you have put everything in a nice communication box.
What inspired me to be a communicator is because the current communicators we have are just spreading the wrong messages. The leaders we have are preaching the wrong consciousness, and they are keeping us ignorant, they are keeping us miseducated, and they're not leading us in the right direction. So as a young leader in Africa, I thought that I should rise up and become a communicator so I can preach a different message. You know, young people need to hear the sound. Young people need to hear this voice. You know, we've been hearing all these old voices and they're really saying nothing. You know, it's time that we hear young people who have something to say, bring that to the table and see how we can move forward. So for me, it inspired me to say that, okay, there's not enough effective leadership, there's not enough effective vision coming from these leaders. So we rise as young people and communicate a different message.
So message seems to be something that is important for you to spread. You wrote a book, in Water Your Soul. What inspired you to write a book like that? Because it has depth and it's about watering your soul, and we're living in a world where people are more of living for now and not in depth. So what is important about writing a book like that, and what really inspired that?
Yeah, like as you write, like the world is too superficial right now. Everything is surface level, you know. And Water Your Soul is really a book about teaching individuals the importance of character. You know, we don't emphasize character in the sense of Moto would act a certain way in public, but behind the scenes, they you know, so. And that shows up in everything you do, right? You might think that you really like abantu ngeke find the arts, what kind of negative person you are, but it will show in the small things, in your behavior, in your actions. So Water Your Soul is about then teaching individuals how to then purify yourself, how to remove all these negativity, how to remove all these negative thoughts that, you know, in a way pollute your soul. They dirty your mind, and they make your soul, they make your spirit really intoxicated. So Water Your Soul is then, okay, how can now individuals cleanse? How can now we connect to the deep purpose of who we are? It's also preaching Ubuntu, you know, and how then is that is important for you as an individual to recognize that you don't exist in a silo, but you exist in a community of other individuals, and why it's important for you to actually treat everyone with respect, show kindness to everyone. Sharp. It's just teaching you good character, like sharp, because you never know what people are going through.
Then why do you think it's so important for African kids to get a message like that? Because you said you are really focused on preserving our roots and our culture.
I think it's important because, like, the education system has been colonized in a sense of everything we've been taught is Western and European. I mean, even the history they teach us European history. And young African kids are not aware of Bokwin Mujaji or, you know, Ntate Mashweshwe in Lesotho, who built great civilizations, who built great empires. We're not taught about that education. We're taught about Hitler and the French Revolution, which are totally irrelevant to a young African child because it's in the opposite side of the world, you know. So even the tradition, the customs are disconnected. Young Africans don't even understand like, these are real issues that you don't even know yourself culturally as Mutomuntu. So it's important then for us to preserve this culture, because in the next 10, 15 years, we don't want to become another America.
True.
We don't want to become we want to become Africa. We want to become Abantu. And then for us to do that, we need to then preserve our culture, preserve our heritage, so that we can pass it on to the next generation. Because when we have our kids right now, like the generation we see right now, where we have young African kids, they speak English more than they speak their own original tongue. And for me, that's scary. And it just shows us how influenced we are by Western society, and why it's important then to preserve our culture for generations to come.
Okay. Then your youth development program has helped more than 21,000 individuals. 12,000.
Yeah.
Excuse me for that. But also one of the key elements is helping people drugs, a lot of addiction in our communities, especially in our impoverished communities. What really made you start this initiative where people who are battling substance abuse and addiction?
So the Youth Empowerment Tour is actually an incredible program. It's South Africa's #1 educational program. We've empowered over 12,100 students across the Gauteng provincial government. And we're working with a company named the Visionary Corner. They're one of the key contributors to the tour, as well as our organization, the Moloi Business Leadership Firm. And the Youth Empowerment Tour has been really instrumental in the national development plans of South Africa, which we want to achieve by 2030. And one of being eradicating unemployment and promoting job creation. So as we know, South Africa is the #1 country leading in unemployment. So when we started the Youth Empowerment Tour, we were like, okay, needs to be a solution of we need to teach young people entrepreneurial skills so that they don't have the mindset of when I'm done with school, I need to go to the labor market and get a job. We wanted to preach a new concept. We wanted young people to be aware that when they're done with school, they must actually start their own business. And what is business? Business is essentially solving a problem. So we are teaching young people to solve the problems in their communities. So that's what really, really made us drive this program home, to say that we are tired of young people being unemployed. We want young people to be business owners. We want young people to be the one creating an economy that's going to lead South Africa forward. And with the youth fitness movement that was done by our organization, is also encouraging that substance abuse is a huge issue in the townships. It's a huge issue. We're talking about crystal meth. We're talking about, alcoholism. We're talking about a variety of drugs that are really disempowering young people. So we thought that, okay, fitness is actually an incredible solution, because when you work out and when you take care of your body, you have no time to be smoking drugs. And it also makes you health conscious. When you start focusing on your health, you actually start realizing why it's important. So fitness then becomes an effective way to fight drug abuse. So we introduced this program. It's impacted over 100 people in the community so far. And it's really impacting it more. And for us, it's about then, how can we amplify these programs across South Africa? We don't just want to have it in Soweto. We want to have it in Tembisa. We want to have it in Kukuletu. We want to have it in Maifikeng. We want to have wherever black people are centered. We want to bring these programs there. Because in white communities, there are these programs. But in our communities, there's no one driving these things. So that's why we are so passionate about this work.
Then what are the key strategies and tools that you guys use to function as an organization?
So some of the key strategies we use is that we do courses. So our courses are a way for us to train these concepts, but also we do events. A lot of our work is in events, organizing. We just had the African Business Master classes on the 31 of August, and we just had another one that's coming, a business leadership conference before the end of the year. So some of the key strategies, we focus on events, we focus on online courses, we also focus on providing consulting services to clients as well. And the strategy we focus on is building an ecosystem. Our organization has always been known as building a leadership network, an ecosystem. So when we bring young people together from all over the country who are doing incredible change, and we're bringing them into one room, then we are able then to discuss ideas, discuss how we can collaborate, discuss how we can amplify our impact. So this is some of the key strategies we use to actually do our work.
Then what other challenges have you faced as an individual and also as a youth leader?
As a youth leader, one of the challenges that we face is that, the private sector doesn't really want to come involved in terms of developing, township communities. So we've been really trying to push that the private sector invests more in black communities. And as an individual, it's also accessibility, I think when you come from a certain background or when you come from a certain environment, it's hard for you to access certain things. So I think accessibility and true equality will help us move this country forward. So that's some of the challenges that we face as young people. Lack of funding, of course, lack of proper infrastructures for us to actually carry out our mandate. And there's a lot, but those are the main key challenges that we face.
Then you talked about the private sector is involved. How can you get them involved? And if you would ever have to have a collaboration with them, how would you work that out? And also, you also need the government to also get with the program, rather. So how would you work in collaboration with the government and the private sector and your organization?
That's actually a good question, yeah. But I mean, what we want is that we want the government to actually assist us in actually unlocking more educational institutions regarding the youth empowerment. So if the government can give us access to more institutions, we can be able to amplify impact. And on that regard, would like to actually appreciate the work that the Gauteng government has actually helped us with in our program. District 14 in the Soweto region, they've actually been giving us access to schools. So the government has actually been involved in this program, right? But we need more of the private players.
Yeah.
We need transportation. We need tour buses. You know, we need more keynote speakers. We need more tools we can offer young people, more opportunities, right? The private sector is holding all the wealth of South Africa. It's time that the wealth goes back to the indigenous Bantu people. It's time that we give black people opportunities, and the private sector needs to show up, you know, because black people are tired right now. That's why the 21 unrest, the 2021 civil unrest showed us that, okay, people are tired and people are ready to revolt. So the private sector needs to come into the communities. It needs to work with organizations such as ourselves to amplify change and make sure that we are meeting the national development goals by 2030.
Then, because you're an author, and it means you're a big reader, which means you like learning. What are the biggest lessons have you learned since you started this journey? You started at 16, I'm sure, to education is sterk.
Just start. You know, just start, man. I think a lot of us, we want resources, we want, you know, fancy stuff. We don't want to start small, and then we don't realize that big things start small, right? A forest doesn't grow overnight. It started as a little seed. That seed grew every day, and then became one tree. That tree fell, and then now it's a forest. So I think for us, just start small. But start, you know, and then gain momentum as you go. As you go on your journey, you'll build up momentum. I just didn't get here by mistake, you know. It's a little bit of small actions every day, growing 1% every day, leading you to the direction that you want to go. And it's just that. Just start. Also, recognize that whatever you do, it might not be seen right now, but it's having an impact in the world. So those small little actions you are doing, you might think I'm but you're not aware that 5 push-ups that you're doing, if you keep doing those 5 push-ups for 3 years, you would have a bigger chest. So it's about also consistency. The power of consistency. The power of not giving up in whatever you're doing. I think that takes you really, really far, because it gets discouraging. I mean, life, you know, challenges, setbacks, all these things. But I think what separates the winners from the losers is like just not quitting, you know, just having that back African gees, having that grit to stick it in, you know. And lastly, go above and beyond in everything you're doing. But the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is just that little bit of extra. So when we do things, we just do things in jail. We don't put in that extra effort. That's why we're not extraordinary, you know. So just put in that little extra. Like if everyone is sleeping until 7, when I go beyond, when I sleep at 9, go that little bit of extra. Have that culture of always do one more. For me, if I tell myself I want to post 3 pieces of content today, I'll post 3 and then 1 more. To teach yourself that little of going above and beyond, putting that extra effort. That's what separates the great ones from everyone else.
You've won a couple of awards.
Okay.
I don't know how many to be precise, but then how is winning an award influential to you as an individual? How does that keep you motivated? Like, in an impact the impact on all your other projects.
I mean, I had the privilege of being recognized by really incredible platforms in South Africa. Last year, we were at the 40 Under 40 South Africa, recognized in the education space. Thank you so much. We were also recognized by Top 16 Youth-owned Brands as an educational brand as well. I was recognized by the Founder of the Year Awards in Kenya and the South African Hero Awards as well. Impact in Rwanda, like, it's just incredible. And for me, the importance of these awards that they build credibility, you know. They build credibility, they establish you as an industry leader, and also they give you accesses to such platforms, you know. But also, it helps you keep motivated because it shows that people are recognizing your work. People are treasuring all the efforts that you are putting. So even when you go back into your office or your little lab, you are more than driven to actually go the extra mile because you know that, wow, I might get recognized, you know. But for me, the awards really don't mean anything, you know. I think the real awards and the real things that really mean a lot to us is that when we change people's lives, when we impact people's lives for the good. I mean, through our program, we have young people right now who are doing matric last year, but at the restaurant, they have their own businesses. For me, that's the real awards, you know. when we see impact through the work we're doing, that's like real stuff. They're gonna live far beyond us, you know, because these awards are just superficial things. They can't share outside, but someone's life being changed, that's the real glory and honor, you know. Yeah.
So then, what are your future plans for youth development and movement and fitness?
The future plan regarding the youth empowerment, so we have a Visionary Corner, is that we want to introduce some of these books written by us. It's called The Basics of Starting a Business and Your Own Enterprise. It's written by Visionary Corner, headed by Tinyeko Mashele. So this is the books that we want to introduce more into our programs. We have another one, a financial management book. If you want all this content, please follow us on all relevant social media, Visionary Corner, Moloi Business Leadership Firm. But we're planning on pushing this content more into schools, you know, teaching people about financial education, teaching people about public speaking. We want to create more young leaders, particularly in the community, who are able to drive change, you know. So our future plans with the youth fitness movement is that we want to be in every province in the country, all 9 provinces. We want to take this continental. We don't want to live in South Africa. We want to go to Kenya. We want to go to Rwanda. We want to be impacting young people across the continent because everyone deserves the opportunity. But also, we're looking at impacting more lives. We have 12,000 students right now, so the goal for next year is to impact at least 50,000 students.
What's the importance of an opportunity?
It's all you need, man. You know, because we have potential, you know. We have potential, all of us. And sometimes you just need that one opportunity that will expose us or let us release our full potential. And I believe that's what we're here to do in life. We're here to release our potential. Potential is energy. Everyone has a level of energy inside of them. And we are here to release this energy in whatever we do. It's either you're in the arts, you're a creator, whatever you do, you're here to release your energy. So an opportunity allows an individual to release their energy. In Africa, we don't have that opportunities. Obviously, you know, economically, we're at disadvantage and socially as well. So that opportunity of a young mind, just getting that knowledge, you know, it's like, you know, you never know what I share today might change someone's life, you know, and they might execute and they might be on Forbes as well. So it's really about that, like just giving someone like opportunities, oxygen for the soul. Just giving someone that oxygen for them to breathe. You give them life and they can do whatever they want in life.
I know you've said a lot, but I would like you to give our young viewers the wise words that you think could change their lives and motivate them to do better, because sometimes we lack motivation. Like you said, potential is there, energy is there, Mara, we just need that little push. What's that little push that you can give to our viewers?
Okay, I'm gonna start it from Gauteng, then I'm gonna be national, and we're gonna do global. If you're in Gauteng, guys, this is the most competitive environment in South Africa, guys. If you're in Gauteng, guys, you need to compete. You need to understand that someone else wants the opportunity that you want. You need to understand someone else wants the job that you want. So who's going to get it? It's the one with the drive. It's the one who's willing to go a little bit of extra. So if you're in Gauteng, guys, switch on. Understand that it's an opportunity being here. Apply yourself, guys. Apply yourself. Really compete. Want to become the best in whatever you're doing. Like this spirit of mediocrity, I'm comfortable with just being one of them. No, guys. Let's strive to be number one. In whatever you're doing, strive to become the best in what you're doing, because no one pays for mediocrity. No one pays for average, guys. Tell me the most well-paid average person right now. We don't know them. We only know people who specialize in something and they get paid based on what they specialize on. So if you're in Gauteng, compete, guys. And on a South African level, we need to understand that your family is looking at you, particularly if you're a black person. Your family is looking at you. We are looking at you to change the situation at home. Every day is an opportunity for you to make your life count, guys. We should never waste time. We should know that, okay, if my purpose is to go this direction, apply yourself fully in that particular direction. Cut off distractions. Abangani, abapheli. Ubumnandi, abupheli. Pay the price now so you can play later. We always tell the kids, it's either you pay the price now and play later, or you play now or pay later. Either way, you're going to pay. It's your choice when do you want to pay. So we say that, okay, pay the price right now. So that at a later stage, you get to play, you get to travel, you get to enjoy your life because you've put in the hard work that was required on a South Africa. And on a continental and global levels, that let's remember that at the end of the day, you will die. and no one will know you ever existed. So then it's important then how you live. We talk about this concept of effective living. Too many of us are not living effectively. Too many of us are not living effectively. So live effectively by aligning your goals, aligning your vision with everything you're doing. You have no time. You cannot waste any more years, guys. Time is going. You cannot waste any more months, any more years. Let's start by pursuing our goals 100%. Go full in. This thing of being 50 years, go all in. Because as I said, no one pays for mediocrity. We pay for concentrated power. We pay for something that's concentrated. Be a concentration, guys. Concentrate, focus. Yeah.
Kutlwano, thank you so much for joining us. You've uplifted and amplified so many people, and please continue the great work that you're doing.
You.
We need young people like you. We need people like you, no matter how old or young.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on our episode.
Thank you.
Mzansi, thank you for watching yet another amplifying episode. Remember, the future is in your hands. Go, get up, and chase your dreams. Thank you.
Thank you.